Welcome everybody to DisruptEDtv, where even the littlest idea could make a big difference in your classroom or in your school. And we have some great ideas for you today with two terrific guests from the U.S. Army. We've got Captain P.J. Hartman and also Sergeant Josh Simpson from the U.S. Army. And all kinds of possibilities, Joe, present themselves to a school when they partner with the U.S. Army. And these guys are here today to give us sort of an overview of that. So maybe, Josh, you could start. Tell us in broad terms about the program, and then we'll talk about the experience the students have with it.
Mm-hmm. Great. So about 3 years ago, the United States Army and the New Jersey School Boards Association developed a partnership to place a active duty U.S. Army service member full-time to work at New Jersey School Boards Association. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we go out, we talk to the local level school boards, the county school boards, all the way down to the teachers, the students. And from there, we put out the information, the opportunities that we're going to talk about here shortly, and the resources provided from the Army. And from there, it ultimately trickles down to the classroom, which is going to help and does help impact student achievement.
Well, that's exciting. But the ultimate goal of this is to give the students, and this is K through university level.
Yes, sir.
Students at every level of education an opportunity to see things that they would not otherwise see. I mean, you've got resources you can offer and expertise that you can inject into the classroom experience. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So we have resources. We have numerous resources to help supplement training or classroom instruction. We can bring in robots, medical simulators. We do field trips for the teachers, sometimes even the students, the administrators, all the way up to the board level. Mm-hmm. We have so many opportunities to help pay for education, to get the experience, to get the certifications. One of the big ones we have is the Steam Tank Challenge. The Steam Tank Challenge started about 3 years ago. We had 37 applications. In the first year, the second year, we went up to over 190 applications. We just opened up the third year of the Steam Tank Challenge, where applications are going to be accepted through February 9th. We're expecting somewhere of 300 to 400 applications this year.
Great growth.
That's
in the third year.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about the Steam Tank. You said, I think you said, PJ, that Steam Tank is kind of like Shark Tank. Is that right?
Yeah, that's kind of where the thought process came from. It, Josh's predecessor. We're in the second year now, going on the third year of this partnership with the School Boards Association for New Jersey, and we had this idea of how do we integrate the I-STEAM aspect of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And the Army's uniquely, in a position to help do that. So, watching, shows like, MasterChef or, Shark Tank, kind of get this idea of going, K through 8, and then 9 through 12. We put together teams and they present a product, a new product, or improve a product or system, and they present it to a panel of subject matter experts, not just in the military, but across the, public-private sectors of the state, and they use what they learn in the classroom to present to this panel, and that panel gives them advice on how to improve it. And luckily for me, I've been here for 2 years in command. I've watched it go from start to what it is now, and when I've sat in these presentations, I'm truly amazed on even what a fifth grade team is presenting that will really change the country and the world, I think, one day down the road. It's truly impressive, this partnership and that program that we've established.
That's interesting, and it's not just engineering. It's a whole broad range of education. So the Steam Tank friendly competition could actually take people in all kinds of different directions.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, great.
How did the collaboration with the School Board Association begin?
Essentially, it was actually through a relationship from my former battalion commander's uncle, who played tennis with Dr. Feinstein. And through that personal relationship, we had an opportunity to sit down with him for 30 minutes. That was what the office call was scheduled for. 90 minutes later, we were both, everybody was in awe on the potential for this partnership with the school boards as well as the Department of Defense, and how bridging that gap could really bring a lot of resources, both financial and well as the tangible, to the classroom in the multiple school districts, not just for high school and colleges, but K through the entire spectrum.
Through the entire spectrum of education, and it doesn't cost the schools a dime.
No, sir.
In fact, there even could be revenue or funding opportunities, grants that are part of this program, so there could be some money available to schools that they can use.
And in fact, there's actually a lot of money, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars every year through Department of Defense funding that gets turned back in at the end of every year because it's just unused. So that's a lot of opportunities. All classrooms, teachers, and faculty members have to do is do a little bit of research and apply.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, that's, and no strings attached. That's another important point. You
No strings attached.
don't have to join the military. You don't have to, there are no obligations in this. It's all about trying to create kids who become competent, effective adults, really, in whatever walk of life they choose.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, that is so important.
Give them the resources to do so.
Yes, well, one of the great resources you mentioned is the Army Educational Outreach Program.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should talk about the e-cyber mission. We know coding and STEAM is a buzzword in schools, and the e-cyber mission actually has grants tied to it for schools. There's, like you said, there's no obligation to serve in the military or the Army.
That's
because you
terrific.
apply for that, and the grants available through the Army Educational Outreach Program are up to $50,000, and that goes to the classroom.
And that goes straight
Right
to the classroom.
Yes.
Okay, now that we're in the classroom, let's talk about the experiences that children, let's say, have as they work through these programs. What's it feel like to a kid?
Absolutely. The programs are great. So the education, a lot of times we need the hands-on. The retention rates in education is hands-on learning. That's how 90% is the retention rate through hands-on. So we could bring things to the students, like I said, robots, medical equipment, different things to help the teachers supplement her teaching. And again, it's absolutely free.
Right.
And there's also the tangible hands-on learning, which leads to your retention, but you also have the Department of Defense is home to a lot of the subject matter experts in you name the field. And I throw the challenge down to high school students is to name a serious profession that the Department of Defense doesn't have. And I've been stumped a couple times with their creativity, but for the most part, every single profession that is a serious profession in our country is available in the Department of Defense. And the Joint Base, Picatinny Arsenal, Weapons Station Earl, some of the major military facilities, Aberdeen Proving Ground down there in Maryland is fairly close to New Jersey. Those subject matter experts are available to come into the classroom as well and kind of put into context. I remember being in school and we have a teacher teaching calculus. I'm like, this is not applicable to me at all.
Right.
But if you can bring somebody in who's a NASA engineer or somebody from the Air Force or the Navy to talk about satellite communications and how you put something in the orbit, they put that into context, and actually watching kids' eyes light up, it's actually pretty powerful. And I wish I had those opportunities in high school. Similar situation in Rhode Island, the military presence has dwindled over the years. And hopefully we're trying to bring that back and bring that to the classroom, or bring the classroom to the base so that they can actually see the research and development that happens in their own backyard that they would normally not get to see.
Yeah, as you were talking, PJ, I was thinking when I was a kid, it would have been great to have a full range of options to consider, alternatives, different careers, different walks of life, different things that are larger than you get in a typical classroom experience. And that broadening of horizons sounds to me like a big part of your value
A
proposition.
wide spectrum of resources.
It's so exciting. We need to take a break. When we come back with more DisruptEDtv, we'll explore that a little further with two terrific guests, Captain PJ Hartman and Sergeant Josh Simpson. And we'll be right back after this.
Stick around.
I went to college right after high school, but it didn't work out. After a few years in the workforce and the birth of my son, I decided to give college another try. At Brookdale, something clicked. I met amazing professors and found a major I was passionate about. I made the dean's list, landed a great internship, and now I'm pursuing my bachelor's degree. Thanks to Brookdale, I have what it takes to see my dreams through. I'm Tara Boyce, and I came to Brookdale to give college another try. I never imagined I would find my passion.
Welcome back to DisruptEDtv. My name is Al Cini.
I'm Joe Osamendi.
It's nice.
Always a
hanging with
pleasure.
you. We have two great guests with us today. We've got Captain PJ Hartman and Sergeant Josh Simpson from the U.S. Army Mid-Atlantic Recruiting Battalion. And I want to bring that out because even though the word recruiting is in that name, this is not about recruiting. This is about academic excellence, isn't it?
Correct, sir.
Okay, great. I mean, you mentioned during the break and actually before the program that it's important that we make kids as well prepared for their lives as possible, whether or not they join the military. Isn't that true?
Absolutely.
Absolutely true.
Okay, great. And that's really what your program is about. It's about creating opportunities for students that make it possible for them to excel in sometimes surprising ways. Was that right, BJ?
Yeah, so I've been active duty Army for 11 years now, and so I've been to a few different places. But the Department of Defense is so broad; it's the largest employer. I think it's 3 million people that they employ, both what we call green suiters, people that wear the uniform every day, as well as white suiters who are, Department of the Army, Navy, Air Force civilians or contractors that do a lion's share of the work for the Department of Defense. I find new jobs that are out there every day. I found out the Army actually has real estate agents. You can be a cosmetologist in the Navy. You can be a mathematician in the Air Force. I found all of that out since I've been out here for the last 2 years. In fact, the Army National Guard on the Fort Dix side, or what's called ASA, Army Support Activity Dix, has a virtual welder. So you can actually put somebody in virtual reality on a computer program and actually teach them how to weld. As you imagine, gentlemen, welding is a fairly hazardous profession if not done correctly, but also can be pretty expensive to train somebody on it. So the Army has adopted virtual reality into a lot of different programs. The Air Force does it for their aircraft maintenance, because you can imagine a C-17 is pretty expensive to learn on. So they've created all these different programs and leveraged technology that is already out there on the civilian side to bring it in and actually help train, and a lot of that is available. They're like, yeah, this is available to schools.
And not just Army resources. I mean, you're with the U.S. Army, but you've got access to aviation, you've got access to, a whole range of other alternatives too. It's not just about focused on the Army.
Absolutely, we have access to the entire Joint Base locally. So you have access to the
That's here in New
airports,
Jersey and Fort Dix, right?
Yes, Fort Dix, McGuire, Dix, and Lakehurst.
Okay.
And then also we have the resources, like you said, for education, such as DoD STEM. DoD STEM is offers scholarships. Now the great thing about these scholarships is the student who applies for it doesn't necessarily have to serve in any aspect of the military. A great success story comes out of Verona, New Jersey, just north of here, where a student applied for a DoD STEM scholarship, received it, used that scholarship to go to Harvard, where they paid for her entire education. And then the only requirement is you work at a DoD laboratory as a scientist in the civilian.
Well,
That's what we would call as a white suit.
So really,
That's great.
basically, any profession or any kind of thing can benefit from the resources you have. It's not limited.
Yeah,
Absolutely. There's the very career-oriented aspects of it. So if you want to be a mathematician, we can introduce you to the ORSA program that the Department of Defense uses. But it's also some of the intangible things that we can bring to the classroom as well. As for example, small unit, what we call small unit leadership is small group thinking, the leadership reaction course, both at the Joint Base as well as the kits that we can bring into the classroom, so you can teach what businesses call gray or soft skills, or the intangibles.
Yeah, let's say life skills, because
Absolutely.
those are important too. And in fact, that kind of brings up the subject of team building, which is, I think, something you mentioned during the last break, Josh.
Yes, absolutely. So I was, prior to this assignment, I was a drill sergeant. A drill sergeant, all a drill sergeant is in education is a teacher.
Okay.
Except for, we all know they yell and scream, wear a funny hat.
Right.
But they're instructing 220 brand new service member at a time. And what you're charged with is making 220 brand new kids or young adults off the street into a member of the largest team in America, the United States Army. So through that aspect, what we do is team building in schools, in the classroom. We could bring it to your school. It's about 2 hours long. And when relaying that back to STEM, in order to work integrative and holistically in a STEAM profession, you have to work as a member of a team.
Right.
So at the foundation of that is being able to do that. So we can teach that. We're all experts in that for the most part in the Army.
Sure.
So we can teach that for the student, again, all the way up to the Board of Ed, whether at your school, or we could bring you to the leadership reaction course onto the Joint Base. The NHL uses it. NASA uses this. The law enforcement agencies across the country use this. The NHL even uses it. So
Great.
it's a great opportunity and resource for the student.
Okay, so if I'm a third grade teacher and I want to organize a field trip for my kids to the Joint Base, I call you.
Absolutely, you call
Okay,
me.
I can do that, and call you a little later on in the program. You'll share with everybody how to reach you, and hopefully your phones will ring off the hook after that. So I think this is such a great opportunity. I'd be surprised if they didn't. So I'm a senior level high school student, and I'm not sure what direction I want to move in. My teacher, my class could call you, and maybe you can arrange some career counseling.
Absolutely, I think that'd be a great method to do it. A lot of people in education have heard about the ASVAB test, Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery.
Okay.
Everybody knows that is the entrance exam to the military. And up until the year 2019, I believe it is a park alternative or replacement. But what a lot of people don't know is the follow-on program to that. It's called the ASVAB Career Exploration Program. And based off your test scores on this ASVAB test and a personal inventory, a self-assessment, it will show what you have an aptitude to do in STEM or STEAM as a career. And this is the national predictor for a STEAM or STEM career in life.
Actually, that's an exciting possibility too, because it means that some of the older kids in the school system could use these resources to help them navigate through a career that may not be military at all.
Right.
So there are no strings attached to this. It's not like you have to join the Army afterward at all. It's just to help you figure out how to be best at what you want to be when you enter the workforce.
It shows careers in the military, but it also, for the most part, most of the careers are in the civilian, on the civilian side. And what's great about this program, it shows if it's declining, if it's increasing, national salary, average salary, median salary, where they are hiring for this, leaks to actually apply for these.
Okay.
The degree you should get to help get your access into that field.
That's
And,
great. So you want to hear from guidance counselors too then?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. That would be another important source of telephone calls for you of ways you could help. But go ahead.
And so
BJ.
for the student, like Josh was saying, was that, what you think is the hot career right now,
Right.
based on the Department of Labor and Commerce, that may not be the best career for you to go to 10, 15 years down the road. I mean, 2000, Y2K, the degree I remember was computer science. It's still a very relevant degree, but will it be relevant 10 years down the road? Or cybersecurity, where you need to go now? But this aptitude battery tells you, hey, these might be the careers that you're best suited to. So maybe that has conversations. You may want to go to college X, but college X may not be the best college that has the best degree plan for you, so that you have that job that you can pursue your passions 15, 20, 30 years down the road. I know when I was 18 years old, I could barely think about what I was going to have for breakfast the next day, not how am I going to retire 20, 30 years down the road. So unfortunately, over 70% of America's youth are not qualified for military service, predominantly because of the ASVAB. But again, the ASVAB is still a free resource. We throw an S in front of it called the SASVAB because we offer the ASVAB in schools.
Okay.
Not overly creative, but it's this school, Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Career Exploration Program. So it's really two parts. Day one, you take the test. And if a student gives an authentic try and just doesn't answer C all the way down because they just want to get out of
Right.
class, then a sergeant comes back in and actually explores that with them in guidance. They can actually have all listed. They get a code, they can log in to the website and get all these different links. We've done lunch and learns for guidance shops
Great.
to teach them how to do this. But then there's also the secondary program to that where it's called March to Success. 15 years ago, we realized that 70% of America's youth don't qualify because of the ASVAB scores. So I've had college students, I think 8 right now, that have got the piece of paper hanging on their wall and everything that have failed it. So we developed March to Success, which is free SAT and ACT preparatory. But we also use it to essentially shake the rust off your math skills
Right.
and your SAT, word comprehension before you could take the ASVAB, so you get the best score possible.
We need to take a break. What's exciting me about what you're describing now is that I know an awful lot of kids, let's say 16, 17, 18 years old, really don't fully understand or haven't really been very well equipped to make the decisions they need to make in order to pursue a life. And one of the benefits of the program, as you're describing it, is it helps provide some structure for kids who maybe are looking for some structure, trying to put some context around all these choices and all these possibilities. And when we come back after the break, maybe we can talk some more about that here on DisruptEDtv. We'll be right back with 2 great guests, Captain Hartman, Sergeant Simpson. We'll be right back. Our culture is what we believe in, and our brand is what we do in our work. When our brand and our culture are in alignment with each other, we become more than just good. We become excellent. Think of this alignment as a mix of flavors in our water cooler. When we gather around and drink it ourselves, we're savoring our culture. When we serve it to our friends and neighbors, we're expressing our brand. So, what's in your water cooler? For groups of all kinds and sizes, our brand and culture alignment toolkit will provide you with a unique water cooler recipe that expresses and makes you the very best at what you do. It all starts with a simple, affordable 20-minute online survey. Completely confidential, you can take it whenever suits your schedule. Within 2 days, you'll receive a BCAT report that expresses your team's signature brand and culture in plain English and includes simple exercises that will help align your team's leaders, stakeholders, and members. Welcome back to DisruptEDtv. This guy's name is Joe Esimendi.
And that's Al Cini.
But more important than either of us by far, two terrific guests. We have Captain P.J. Hartman and Sergeant Josh Simpson from the U.S. Army. And before we go any further, I want to thank you both and all of your colleagues in the armed services for your service to our country. Something I don't think we can say often enough. Thank you both very much for that. Thank you, gentlemen. But before the break, we talked about the importance of giving kids not just alternatives and ideas and thoughts, but also some kind of a sense of direction. And during the break, you talked about a couple of scholarship programs, so maybe we can talk about something that could be of interest to guidance counselors, scholarship programs that can help with education costs at the university level. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so we have a SMART scholarship that we talked about a little bit before. We share the success story. That's where you're paid for, your education is absolutely paid for through a school of your choice. And on the back into that, you get not only the education, you get the experience through a 2-year obligation.
You're plugged into a job.
Exactly, you are plugged into a job for 2 years. That's ultimately what you have to get back.
And it's not a military job; it's a job.
It is a job in a laboratory or working for the Department of
somewhere
Defense.
for the Department of Defense.
Exactly,
Okay.
and most likely in the continental United States.
Right.
Which is awesome, and which is the great thing about that is right now this generation, they need 4 things to really be successful. They need the education, they need the experience, which that job gives them the experience. All right, and then they need the soft skills. They need to show up to work on time. They need to make sure you're gonna do the right thing when nobody's looking, and then they need the certifications, which they're gonna get those. And then another scholarship we have, a little bit different, it's called the Minuteman Scholarship. The Minuteman Scholarship is a little bit different than the previous scholarship we talked about. In the Minuteman Scholarship, you apply to a college of your choice, you attend that college and university, you are paid full tuition, full room and board, and you're given a stipend that increases every year. A great thing about this scholarship is there is a service obligation tied to it, where you serve in the Army Reserves either 1 week in a month, and you do your 2 weeks a year during the summer. You're often times during those 2 weeks you go to Germany, it could be Hawaii, get an experience. What's important about this experience is you may be going to medical school, and at the end of the day, you've never done anything medically besides a textbook. So with that experience, you're going to know, can you set a broken bone? Can you experience trauma? Can you handle that? And do you truly want to be in the medical field?
And all this experience is stuff you can use no matter where you land. I mean, these are life experiences that you wouldn't get otherwise.
Exactly.
That's very exciting.
What's interesting, by the way, is that you really prepare people for what real life is like. I think it gives them an example of really what their skills are, what their skill sets are, and where they can make the biggest impact.
Exactly.
I think that's so important, Joe, because looking back on our histories, we're a little older than you guys, but looking back on it, you certainly want to educate kids on all the alternatives that there are, but you also want to give them some kind of a sense of how to make that choice when they need to make it, how to make that decision, and how to maintain a level of commitment to following through on that decision. And I really think what the Army has to offer really solves that problem for an awful lot of people. But you're saying an awful lot of this goes unclaimed and unused. You don't get as many calls as you'd like to get. Isn't that true?
That's correct.
Absolutely.
I turned in $11 million last year.
Really?
Right back to the Department of the Army because it just went unused.
So these are unclaimed grants, unused scholarship money.
And that 11 million is something that we directly control at the local level through the Army Reserve.
So it's important that your message gets out so that money can be spent in the best way.
This is money the Army wants to spend.
Yeah.
So you make it easy relatively, and that means guidance counselors out there should call you. Teachers out there who want a really creative field trip for their students at any level should call you. definitely. School administrators who are looking for ways to maybe boost their income, maybe improve their budget position with grant money, they should call you, and you can help them with that.
Absolutely.
And those, it's about supporting teachers and guidance counselors. They have a million things to do in 180 days. I do not want to be
Right.
that guy who adds the millionth and one thing on top of their plate that they have to balance.
Right.
What we want to do is kind of parallel and reinforce their curriculum. I was stationed in Italy for 3 years. I can barely say 3 or 4 phrases in Italian, but I have taught Italian classes at a local school in Ocean County to put, hey, students, from a military officer that's been to 40-something countries, learning a couple phrases in a local language and their cultural aspects, even from a business perspective.
Right.
Why is that important? So there's that actual tangible bringing a robot to a school so that a student can put their hands on it and see how that has real-world implications. But like Josh was saying, all the soft skills that are provided through subject matter experts in the joint force, and when I say the joint force, that's all of the services combined. They could bring that to the school or bring students to the base or the resources throughout the country and just show those kids that you could put something in context that the school doesn't have to pay for. And that
Right.
student, yes, this is how one sector of society, the military, does things. Okay, now that gets the creative juices flowing. How can I take that and solve this world problem, or this not even world problem,
Not even a
this
world problem,
classroom
it could very much be a
problem.
local, small, tactical problem inside of a
Absolutely.
community.
And that's kind of what, from my foxhole, if you will, from my point of view, from the outside of the education system looking in, that is what that's what teachers are trying to do right now, is integrate all of the subjects so that their students working together as a team can solve a problem.
Yeah.
And
using
every school needs the
STEAM.
resources. They need the resources to move forward.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that is so exciting. Okay, you mentioned, PJ, you mentioned, I think, during one of the breaks, your Meals Ready to Eat program, MRE
Oh, yeah.
program.
Yeah, yes,
And we
sir.
make jokes about MREs all the time. Talk about what the kids did with that.
So one of the creative little competitions that we did at the local level is our CTEs, or what I used to call a VOTEC, is how do we bring some of those programs over to the CTEs. And one of my sergeants, who is a culinary arts specialist, has a great idea. Hey, what if I were to bring a case of MREs in, or Meals Ready to Eat, and we do kind of like a master chef competition where we set a box of MREs down, and they have a team of 4 student chefs, and they have to pull the thing apart. They have to inventory everything, create a menu, appetizer, main course, dessert. Some kids took it to the next level. They prepared a drink menu. Then they have to plate it and present it. If you've watched any of those culinary shows,
Right.
I was like, okay, let's support this. So we went out and got a case of MREs. Actually got 4 because we had 4 teams. Went into the school. We built the curriculum that matched what the head chef in the classroom was already doing, and utilizing the principles that they had heard. This was towards the end of the year. Have a little bit of fun.
Oh, yeah.
See how you can do this. 3 hours, go. And we brought some culinary arts specialists in from the military to provide that subject matter expertise to coach and mentor the students. And I was pleasantly surprised. I've been in the Army for 11 years, and I would never have guessed
It was pretty amazing the kind of result that you
at
got in
MREs.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is clever if you think about it. And that kind of friendly competition just gets people thinking.
Absolutely.
And it could lead to a career in the culinary arts for somebody. You never
Absolutely.
know. It's,
And then what I'm trying to do is the Army has professional publications in the different sectors of the Army. I'm a logistics officer, so we have our own publication. Is how do I take that recipe, if you will, and get that published and disseminated across the Army, so that when you might get deployed for training or deployed in support of humanitarian assistance, and all I've got is this box of MREs.
Right.
Hey, I can pull this recipe from some kid in New Jersey, and if I put all the stuff together, my day just got 10 times better.
That's
And
interesting.
Fantastic.
and it was really impressive to see, even at that level in a kitchen in a high school, what these kids' creativity could do, and
Well,
that model could be applied throughout CTE.
Yeah, your programs, they promote creativity, promote teamwork, competition. It's fantastic
all
for
those
kids.
elements all brought
Absolutely.
together.
That program's great.
Yeah.
It's the first year you did that. Skills USA has now picked that up. It's going to be at the state level this year, and they're looking at doing this as a national model as well.
Well, that is so
Fantastic.
cool. So one of these days I'll be able to go to the bookstore and get an MRE cookbook based
MRE
on the
cookbook.
work
Yeah,
that you
right.
guys have done.
Might actually have to
That's exciting.
pursue that and get it published.
Okay.
Fellas, we're coming up on that part of our program where you get to talk into your camera and tell everybody how to reach you. And we're talking about school boards, school administrators, principals, teachers, maybe even parents, certainly guidance counselors. So go ahead and look into your camera and tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Great. So I think what we just talked about is we authentically want to help students and administrators and teachers, Board of Eds. We want to authentically help them in education. You can reach me at jsimpson, JSIMPSON, at njsba.org.
Great.
And I'm PJ Hartman. I'm going to be a little risky. I will give you my cell phone number. It's 732-300-0623. Or feel free to check us out online at competition-strategies.com. And again, my cell phone number is 732-300-0623. Thank you.
PJ, Josh, it's been terrific talking to you today on DisruptEDtv. We want to thank you for being two great guests with a really, really great subject. And I
Thank
want
you
to
for this
thank
Thanks for having us.
Thank you again for your service.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I want to point out for people who are watching the program, this is a local program, which is one of the reasons why it's so effective here in New Jersey. But there could be possibilities in partnering with the U.S. Army or other branches of the military in your state, in your school district, and you should explore those as well. Thank you all for joining us today on DisruptEDtv. My name is Al
I'm
Cini,
still Joe Asamendi.
and we hope you'll join us again for another episode.
Thank you.